Hello Airsofters, today's a new pistol video, and I want to say this pistol's good, but I have a problem personally because they don't sell the AAP magazines in my country, which is weird. A bunch of stores sell this pistol, but they don't sell the replacement magazines. So I went and bought 4 of these wee plastic Glock magazines, and they're complete garbage. I only wish I did more research on these things. I don't know if there's any YouTube videos out there on these wee plastic ones, but they are garbage. Do not waste your money on these. And the main problem is, because they're plastic, they just don't hold much gas. Like sometimes halfway through the magazine, you'll just run out of gas. I think it's because the plastic never gets cold, so it doesn't, it's not capable of taking in the liquid propane as easily. And or maybe there's a slow gas leak, but I don't hear any gas leaks at all out of these magazines. And still, they just don't hold power. I wrote okay when it's brand new, but this one's gone bad already, and I never opened it up or anything like that. So yeah, I would avoid these like the plague and stick to the metal ones. Also, don't get the long ones because if you drop it once, they're trash. That happened to me as well. So I'm only going to standardize on the wee metal magazines of the short, the standard length for like a Glock 17. But those things cost 1/3 or a quarter of the price of a whole new pistol. So I wasted money on 4 of these. I'm not going to buy 4 brand new magazines. I almost feel like it'd just be better to buy 4 new wee pistols, and then I'll get my magazines that way. Alright, so this is a great gun and all, but if I can't get the extra mags, that's what's going to make me go switch over to something else, or at least try something else. I'm not sure if this is going to be better because it's a little bit different than what I was expecting. Originally I got the AAP because it's all plastic and relatively lightweight. In fact, let's just do a quick weigh here. I added an O-ring here, a rubber gasket for the tracer to keep it from falling off. I also added a big piece of foam so I don't scratch up my visor if I ever hold this too close and it recoils into my face, right? Let's see if we can read that or not. There's no gas in this, there's no BBs in it. It's 662 grams in that ballpark, which is great, but so here it showed up in the mail today. We have this Wii, and unfortunately the box is quite large, but here's some legalese. Nothing on the side other than the website. I find their website is not the greatest. A lot of their guns don't have any stats whatsoever. This is not the color scheme I originally wanted. I wanted the black version with the silver barrel, but it was out of stock, and who knows when they'll get them in again. So I got the pimp version. So it's a Glock 34, and it has the SV slide. I don't know if that's a coating, SV coating, but the frame is black plastic, and then it has a gold barrel. So it's just the sound of it. It sounds like a John Wick kind of pimp gun. And let us reveal this. Dun, dun, dun. No. It's revealed by an instruction manual. Let's get into that quickly. Alright, an owner's manual, there's their website. Always wear protection. 6mm BBs, is powered by gas. Obviously gas blowback, so that slide again might hit your visor. Let's see if any of this is useful. You can actually run a CO2 gas thing in there, but that's expensive for where I live. Just never store above 40C. That probably has to do with the gas in the magazines, yes. But I never store my magazines with gas in them. After I play for the day, I let all the gas out. I don't want that stuff going off in my car. Okay, there's that stuff. Dun dun dun. Now it's covered with plastic. Alright, so this magazine, well, what's weird is there's no branding on the bottom of this thing. What the heck is that all about? Right, here's the Wii mag, and this one says Wii, right? Wii Tactical. Why is that not on the bottom of this thing? That's really strange. And then no magazines I've found actually have anything written on the upper part, simulating the thing. I kind of feel they would be better off just putting their brand in here. because all these rubber seals seem to be different amongst brands. In the AAP, these rubber seals do work, but I believe Tokyo Marui has a rounded rubber seal, so that doesn't work in my AAP. So I'm sticking to WeMags because these work in my AAP. Okay, so naturally this one is all metal, this one is all plastic. And if you're brand new to Airsoft, we might as well do a weight comparison between the plastic mag and this metal mag. Plastic mag, 118 grams. And metal mag, 278. Let me just make sure there's no gas in there. Uh-oh, there might be gas in here. Only a tiny bit. Which makes me think they actually test it, right? They test the O-rings, so that's good. Alright. Very strange, the butt plate though. But it is a much wider butt plate because this has a mag well on it. Let's see if there's anything under this cardboard. There's not. Okay, so at least that's all cardboard. I don't feel too guilty about throwing that in the trash. If it was plastic, I would feel much more guilty. I'm not sure what this is. We'll find out. Oh, that's probably what that brass pin is for. I think it's to protect your wrist from getting messed up. Wow, very cool. Before I forget though, let's get that scale back on here. Tare, grams, on. Alright. So empty, no magazine, although that does, well, I guess if you switch to plastic it makes a difference. The empty is 563 grams. Hopefully you can see that. 563. Let me move this in a little bit more. Oh, the LED glare. There we go. 563. With the stock metal magazine. 841 grams. With whatever the heck this thing is. So all set up, this would be 853 grams empty. Okay. Alright, the weights are out of the way. So, this SV slide is awesome. It looks stainless or something, like a brushed stainless, but it's also, it's got like almost like a paint wash in it. It reminds me of like models, like toy models, where they're getting a weathering effect, or model kit building, where you paint it and then rub off the extra in order to get this weathering effect. So I don't know if this is stainless steel or not, to be honest with you. But SV, I know like SV30 is a very good steel that's used in knives. Like expensive knives use SV30. It might also be the type of steel that you can put in salt water for like diving knives. I think I might have a Spyderco diving knife that has an SV30 blade, but I could be mistaken as well. So anyways. Okay, so it's nice that, you know, we is taking some liberties. I don't care if my stuff is milsim specific, you know. I've had many real guns, so if I want to shoot a real gun, I'll shoot a real gun. But for playing Airsoft, you know, it's all about having fun, right? So part of that fun for me is having crazy looking guns, things that don't make sense. Like this is more of a fantasy gun, right? But this, to me, I'm just thinking this is like a pimp gun. Stippling here is pretty nice, very good, yeah. The mag release, yeah, sticks out as one would expect, and it's obviously, well, obviously works. You know, the weight of the magazine obviously helps. Let's get that plastic one. Yeah, even the plastic one, obviously it's the same company, so one would have to assume they would get their own components to interact with each other properly. So it's made in Taiwan, and that's a good thing. Taiwan is the capital of making bicycles. I would take a Taiwanese bicycle. I like bicycles, so. And I guess their machining is generally better than a lot of some of the mainland China brands. I'm not saying all of them, but that's pretty much what all the dealers here in Thailand recommend. Just stick to Wii versus like a double bill or E&C kind of pistol, which I think are mainland China. It's possible that it's just that Wii's been around for a long time. And that brings up a different point. I did some research on Reddit, and people say a lot of bad things about the Wii brand, but people also say a lot of good things about Wii branded Glocks. My friends all here where I play, they have Wii Glocks, and they say they never have a problem. So I'm going off of them, and we'll have to see if over time if that actually is true. All right, so it's got this funky metal trigger. It's not plastic, and the safety there, it's red. So yeah, it's not loaded, of course. The mag well is quite interesting. Please leave a comment if you know what this means. It almost looks like some sort of script you would see in, I don't know, it reminds me of like Tibet or Myanmar, Burma, whatever you want to call that country these days. Myanmar, I believe, is the official name. I don't know, some sort of old script. Is it sci-fi or is it a real script? I don't know. Alright, so the magwell, yeah, it's a metal piece, and it seems to be the same color, and probably the same metal as the slide, but I mean, how else would you simulate that if it was a different type of metal? I don't know. So interaction here, a lot of play. Most of the efficiency of a Glock magazine, I find, is actually the magazine itself. You know, this AAP doesn't have a magwell, but even so, with this squared off thing, I almost never have a problem feeding a mag in here. Right? But there's not much play compared, I think, to this one. See? So I do feel like this slight bit of extension here on this opening must make it easier to load the thing. You could remove it if you want to with that Allen head screw here. Okay. I don't see an interchangeable back strap, so this grip is the width that it is. Alright. Initial impression, yeah, it's quite heavy. I mean, but I'm coming from something that weighs like 200 grams less or something, right? But it's tolerable. Wow, that actually is heavy. Wow. Huh, we'll see. We'll see. Alright, on the bottom, what do we have here? Maybe a serial number of some sort. I don't know if it's an effective serial number. No, it's not a serial number. It says DMD 168S, and there's an arrow pointing that direction. So it must have to do so with the breakdown of the thing. I'm not going to get into that right now. Maybe I'll research it later. It's nice to see, you know, this gold barrel shining through there and here, you know, to keep the slide. It's quite a pimp gun. I like it. I really like it. But that's to keep the slide a lower weight. But it just doubles as something that just looks cool. There's a Wii Tech or wet, and that is actually engraved or cut out from the barrel. Sorry, it's so shiny. The camera's having a hard time with it. But yeah, that's recessed, so that's kind of neat. And then also the Wii logo here, this like galaxy or atomic logo here is cut into the material. Here we have NML 589 in the logo again, so that's similar to like a Glock. They have some text there on their barrels. And then WI-E, and then that logo again there. So that's different, obviously, from this side because, you know, it's got the ejection port as well. But this dragon scale kind of grip texture to the... Yeah, you know what? I would have guessed it'd be more aggressive. It's actually not too aggressive. Maybe they did that because some people actually do play with no gloves. I think those people are crazy. But maybe if you're playing outdoors, it's not a big issue. For CQB, if you're not wearing gloves, you're just asking for torture. Even with gloves on, I get some bruises and stuff. So, yeah, it's nice that's on the top as well. The sights, you have orange fiber optics in the rear, catching the light nicely, and a green one up front. Let me try to focus on that one way out there. It won't do it, but yeah, you can get a line of sight pretty easily. There's also some horizontal strakes here to keep reflections down and glare. Same with the back end of the front the front one as well. There's some horizontal strakes there. Also on the back of this thing is this crazy looking skull that needs to go to the dentist. It's got some crazy fangs and some pointy ears or something, so that's quite interesting. It's not a normal Glock rear end there. It's definitely a pimp Glock. There's also a screw here. I would assume it's another screw to help deal with this thing staying in place. The front end, we have some inner threading, so you can hopefully add a tracer. There's a Galaxy logo here, and then gold pins. The main trigger pin, I guess, is gold or brass or something, I'm not sure. And then there's a pin here, which I believe has to do with this. So if you put this on with the longer pin, I'm not going to bother doing that. You can see that's where it goes. So yeah, the slide obviously works. I don't know, is it? Maybe it's a finger rest for your second hand? Please leave a comment. I'm not sure what this would be for. That's the only thing I could think of. Some other type of rest. I'm not going to use it. I thought maybe it would have to do with trying to protect this from hitting your hand. Like if you held this improperly, you know, it would recoil and cut you, because that's a sharp corner. I think that point would actually cause you to bleed. Your hand would bleed. But the issue is, I don't see it sticking out very well. Maybe that would be effective. There's no way, if that was in this position, I don't think you could hold your hand in a dumb way. So yeah, I guess it's nice that it's there. Maybe I will put that on. But not right now, sorry. And it does seem to be like one of those nylon reinforced plastics like the actual Glock lower is made out of, but I can't say for sure. So 34 for Glock 34. I decided to not get the 35 because I'm never allowed to shoot full auto at any of my fields, and I've accidentally gone full auto on my rifles because the selector switch is very easy to move, so I don't want to have to deal with that. I just want to shoot semi-auto all the time. Alright, if I recall, I haven't cleaned a real Glock in a long time. So in taking the gun down, I realized this is a hammer safety. I thought it had something to do because I was having a hard time getting the slide off. But as usual in a Glock, you just have to pull both of these things downwards, slide the mag back a little, and then slide it out. But you'll see here, this silver tab here, let me get the dent back here in focus. This whole silver block right here slides. It is driven by this thing here. I have it in position, and that is preventing the roller bearing hammer from engaging. So if I pull the trigger, it will not engage because this is the front part of the trigger. So that's the front part of the trigger. Let me put it back together, and I'm gonna undo this. So it probably makes sense to have a screwdriver, but there, it's in the open position now. So you heard the hammer go, right? What else? Take it apart. So you can see, hopefully, the hammer's down. There. That little piece you saw move before was colliding with that silver rectangle. So that's us mechanically stopping the hammer from firing. Please leave a comment as to why they would have such a feature. I suppose, I don't think it has anything to do with maybe protecting the hammer. Maybe it just has to do with general safety, you know, because if you accidentally hit this trigger, it's going to go off, right? But for kids, maybe if you want to not have people mess with it, you would slide that thing forward. Alright, well anyways, I'm not going to break it down, it's brand new, I'm going to just play with the thing, but I wanted to see the inside for myself to see how well lubricated it is, and it's lubed quite a bit. The roller hammer where I live was like a $6 upgrade. I don't understand why we just wouldn't ship all of them with the roller hammer. $6 is not enough of a difference to have a different, part number or stock keeping unit. It's just weird. You can see it's just slathered with oil, which is good. That's fine by me. And then, yeah, more oil just slathered. The whole thing is just glossy from oil, and that's fine. I'm gonna assume this must be the hop-up mechanism right here. What's unfortunate is there's no indication which direction raises and lowers the hop-up. It would be nice if they molded something in there to say plus minus or something like that, right? But I think, well, I don't know. I don't see any text there either. Yeah, plus and minus would be nice. Maybe later when I figure it out, I'll just put some paint there with the plus and minus. Very cool. Very heavy, but very cool. I'll have to see how bad the recoil will be. I don't think it'll be that bad because it's cut out here. I can't expect it to be that much worse than a regular Glock 17. But definitely weighs a significant amount more than this AAP. Where's the stock bag of that? Oh, one last thing is probably the compatibility with the tracer. I like to run tracers very often indoors because it's dark enough. So naturally, it's not going to just screw on. One nice thing about the AAP is it actually has external threads. So you can just take any common tracer and screw it on. But some tracers come with these adapters. So I forget which one came with this adapter, but let's see, does this go clockwise? Counter. You'll see there's an O-ring on this one. I think it actually goes in clockwise. Yeah, so it's a normal right hand twist, and it's got a little thing. You want to use an Allen wrench to really tighten that if you want. Or if you're going to always use a thing, I would put some thread lock in there. But lightweight thread lock, not a high strength one. Alright, so now I can, counterclockwise my tracer on there. Very cool, very cool. It's a long gun. Yeah. Alright, I don't want to cut myself with that slide, holding it in this weird position, so I'm going to put this glove on. I'm using these .20 Crown BBs here, and a relatively new can of gas here, quite heavy, so I'm sure the speed will be good. Okay, no gas sound, and I waited a few seconds extra. Here we go. 376. Woo. Focus on that. Oh, there seems to be a jam. That's too bad. What's going on here? The BB was in there. Let's try. Just gonna have to do it again. That slide lock is off, the trigger lock, so I'm not sure why. There we go. What's up with that? Maybe with gloves this red safety isn't very effective. Okay, it's out. Yeah, it's missing the 24th because I shot it outside the crony. Hopefully it was focused. I hit the focus button, but unfortunately I can't put the camera right in front because the camera's on the wrong side of this phone. But there we go. So it dropped down to 326. the first shot was crazy. It's 362. There's even a 370 in there, 376 in there. So it's a pretty good, it doesn't drop a great deal of FPS. Well, no, it does. Maybe it does, like 50, 40, 50. Maybe that's just the way gas pistols work. I'm too new to airsoft to know. But at least it didn't, at least it didn't cut my hand. So that's good. I think though the trigger though, what I was doing, because I'm wearing these gloves, I wasn't pulling the red safety enough. Or wait, maybe it's colliding. Hold on here. Let me get the glove off. Let's look at this here. Some better downcasted light. I think it was colliding. Look at this. See? See the back end of the red? It was colliding with the plastic because it's a safety. So if I was holding it up here at the top part of the trigger, it's not going to fire. You really have to put your finger towards the bottom, this plastic, so the red safety clears that gap and goes into the gun. Yeah, so that's the problem. It wasn't a problem with the gun, it was the problem with the way I was holding it. And maybe that has to do now with that extra plastic piece. My palm is riding way up here. So look at this. My finger wants to be at the top of the trigger. That's my natural position. If my palm was down lower like this, then I would always be pulling the bottom of the trigger. So I think that plastic piece maybe is meant to help bring your hand also downwards. So as goofy as it looks, I think I might actually have to add it, or I gotta change how I pull my hand. But it's kind of weird to hold it like this and then have your finger pulling at this weird downward angle, like it's going this way, right? It's kind of strange. I want to just pull it straight, more like this. Right? So interesting observation. Keep that in mind. I'm also thinking I'm going to sand this down. These two little pieces sticking out, I don't think have any relevance to the performance. If you look at the actual slide rail, the groove is quite long. Even if you got rid of this tiny little bit of metal here, rounding it upwards, that way if it hits my hand, it won't just cut into it like this sharp corner here. Yeah, it'll expose a little bit of that rail in there, but I don't really care. Okay, you can see what I did is I took a file and then some sanding files and then some nail polishing boards, and I pretty much rounded that whole thing off and took the teeth off a little bit. So even if this thing hits my, look, it's not gonna, well, maybe it could still cut you, but it won't. I don't think it's gonna cut you as nearly as bad as before, right? So that's actually pretty nice. Let's see how it looks actually on the gun. Yeah, so a little bit of that rail is sticking out, but I don't think it's a problem. It looks fine for me. Safety better than appearance for me. Now the issue for me is the speed. This is shooting over 350 FPS. No one's going to let me use this on a field, so I have to somehow block the air getting into that chamber. So I took the thing apart. It's relatively easy. You undo this screw back here and this whole thing comes out. There's a spring on the top. I'll put this all together. Here's the nozzle, and then you unscrew one thing, the back end comes out, and then inside is this nozzle piece with the 4 vent holes. So measuring these vent holes, it's hard to measure the actual holes. I'm gonna measure the pieces blocking the vent. This is 0.9, 0.8 millimeters wide. So I 3D printed some that are, this one is 2.2 millimeters wide. I'm gonna fiddle around. I'm gonna just jam in the largest one so you can clearly see, hopefully, if I can get the focus going. The vent holes are much smaller because there's literally more plastic blocking the gas from getting in. Unfortunately, I don't know if this plastic is going to be strong enough to withstand whatever goes on inside of this thing. I ordered the strongest plastic, any cubic clear off of AliExpress, but we'll have to see if it actually works. Those are the printing marks there, but I'm not concerned because that's where the spring goes. But this side is pretty flat, so that's good. Okay, so let's put this thing back together. So the spring that came out goes in first. That should sit in that cavity. And then the good old nozzle, assuming it's the right diameter. Let's measure that diameter. So the diameter of this is 7.4 on my calipers here. Yeah, this is actually a little smaller, 7.3, so it should fit. Okay, so that's in there. Then this piece of plastic is holding it in there. You want to have the screw hole here, obviously line up with the screw hole there. And this flat piece here is facing the back, or facing us, whereas here it's all concave, and that's where the nozzle slides around. So this is going to be a little tough here, aligning these two things. What's unfortunate is this screw is so tiny. I would rather have a pin. I've seen other, like the AAP has just a metal pin going across the whole width. This screw idea, I don't know, not a fan of it. It's such a tiny screw, meaning the hole itself can get stripped out very easily. I have no idea if that's catching that hole. Yeah, this is a poor design. A pin would make much more sense. Amazingly, I actually got that right the very first time, that screw. When I push in here, it doesn't budge at all, so I still would rather have a post. Okay, here's this little metal body, and so these little ears of the sliding nozzle bit have to fit into these. So I kind of hook it up like this way, and see, it goes in there. Let's push it back. And then there's a tiny spring here, and it goes on this side according to the diagram I'm looking at from Wii. Okay, so this is the top surface, and so I have to put the backing plate here. So you want to have that. Now I'm going to flip it upside down. Oh, before I do that, I want to point out there's two rectangular tabs on the sides of the inside of the slide, and naturally have to go into two rectangular slots on this piece we're adding. I suppose you could try it just doing this way. Yeah, that works too. Okay, that was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so this one screw is being trapped with the rear sight, and this rear sight is also cast metal. But though, I don't know if it'll just pop in. Oh, that's weird. The dovetail has this has nothing to do with the dovetail. It's kind of fake, right? It just, you don't have to slide it in from the side. It just pops right in from the top. So that's convenient. Now I gotta hold that in place and get this screw in that hole. Hold on. Okay, and number 2 Phillips. Back out the thread so you don't strip it. Just gonna tighten that, not too much. Okay. So that's how you put that thing there. I didn't even bother taking the barrel out. I guess we can try to look at the hop up while we're at it. Alright, so I'm going to pull it towards us. I'm going to get the camera closer. And hopefully you can... Oh, no, now I lost focus. You see that bump there on the bottom? So that's fully hopped with it pulled towards us. Now I'm going to move my fingers away, push it forward, and that bump vanishes. It's more of a circle now. So there's no hop right now, meaning the BBs will just roll through the barrel. You got to have some sort of hop to stop the BB from just rolling down the barrel and double feeding and stuff like that. I'll just leave it maxed out for now. Okay. I guess if this is important, I don't know if I can get this out. No. Unfortunately, I think you would have to remove this thing to get the whole barrel out. It's aluminum, anodized gold. Alright, whatever. Let's get this here. Pop that in. Okay, so that's all back. And then the spring, very well lubed. Push that up here, and there we go. So that pushes back there. So we should be good to go now. Hopefully this thing will not disintegrate inside of there. But even if it did disintegrate inside of there, well, that back piece holding it was kind of thin. Well, let's learn. All I know is I can't use this right now anyways. It's too fast for my fields that I play, so it's just a showpiece right now. Now the goal is to try to make it work. Ooh, what's going on here? Something is sticking. This thing? That barrel is seated. Okay. Alright. I don't know. Make sure the barrel's fully seated before you put it in. Seems okay. Seems okay. Let me fill up a magazine and let's see if how much we drop down by putting that really thick nozzle in. Alright, never forget your safety glasses. You only have 2 pairs of eyes. Alright, so I filled it up again with the same BBs, the same can. Okay, that's definitely. The camera might get hit by the slide, but alright, here we go. What does that say? 364. 364. So it's down. Well, that's weird. So what would cause that? Caused all the gas to come out. So I have one of these O-ring sets to, repair the gas magazines, and I just took this thick O-ring and I just fed it down there and I seated it with this plastic screw. I haven't glued it yet because I don't know if it's gonna work. I'm gonna try to just put this in for the first shot. I don't know, I think the gas is just gonna push it though. That's the problem. It's a problem. But effectively this is blocking a lot of the vents, right? So less gas should get through. Let's try it out. I was skeptical, so I didn't even bother recording, but yeah, look, the first shot is 344, 351. So that O-ring is still staying in place too. I'm waiting for some sort of catastrophic sorry. You know what, I'm gonna have to move the camera above to focus on that screen. The gun is in the way, that's the problem. Lost a lot of gas. I don't know. Now, I see what the problem is. The O-ring shifted. So, you can see there, it's not pressed up against the cone of the nozzle anymore. So, it's some gas problems. But I think I actually should super glue that thing in place. Although I don't know if super glue is going to stick to that O-ring. That's another problem. So, let me show you guys what I did. I thought about the O-ring thing more, and I don't think it's going to keep it in place because it's flexible. You know, flexible things don't want to stick to it. But I have this aluminum spacer, so I just jam this spacer in here, like that. And then I have this UV activated glue by Display. It's this stuff here. So, since the spacer was round, I literally just put a drop of it right here. It's kind of shiny, you can see, but it is clear. And then I hit it with the UV flashlight that this thing came with. Held it for a good minute, make sure it's really hard. Then I put this bolt in and I just pulled it out, even though it's textured. Ideally this would be smooth. but I don't have a spacer like that. So I effectively just sealed off one of these ports. Whether or not this is going to hold up to CO, the cold gas of the propane, and I don't know if there's much shock going on inside of this housing here. That only time will tell. But even if it broke off, I guess the worst thing that would happen is a little bit of plastic would shoot out the barrel. Although maybe it would possibly cut up the bucking. Alright, a little bit may have seeped out there. Let's get that out of there. Okay, let's put this back together and see what it does. Okay, filled them up with gas in the same BBs. Focus on that screen. It's really hard though. 362. Crony's not registering. I'm not sure if it's shooting. Let's check the magazine. No, I think it is shooting. Looks like it's half empty. It's just the Crony's not registering. So I don't know what the deal is with this magazine. This is brand new. And it doesn't have enough gas to actually shoot 25 BBs or 24 BBs. So that one's not good. I have a different Wii magazine. I just bought one of these aftermarket ones, and it actually has Wii on the bottom. This one's all gassed up and ready to go. Focus on the screen again. 317. Okay, it's empty. So that magazine worked a lot better. It's really strange. It's the same company. I don't understand why this magazine does it. Let's take a look at it. Is it even the same magazine? Yeah, the valve looks the same. The O-ring was lost already, so I popped in one of these green O-rings. Yeah, I don't understand. I'm going to do this original magazine one more time because give it a good chance, right? 360. It shot out all the BBs, but big drop towards the end, obviously. And it started at 360, so I feel like that's still too hot. I might have to block off another port. It's crazy. Well, let me show you guys what I did last time, since I'm going to do it again. First, you want to clean off the plastic because there's silicone oil in that gas. But I'm going to wipe this previous one with some alcohol and also the opposite port, because that's where I want the plastic to stick. Okay, so let that dry off, of course. Okay, so then I have the aluminum spacer. Again, a smoother one would be helpful, but it did work, this one anyways. So I want to put resin in here. It's actually probably better if I remove the screw so I can hold the thing together, because I don't really want any to get on the middle cone there. Maybe it won't matter, but okay, make sure I have it lined up properly. Man, these things are fidgety. Alright, so I'm pressing those together. Here's the UV light glue. Just going to put a drop in there. And I'm going to quickly hit it with the UV light because it's going to seep into those cracks. I'm going to hold this for 30 seconds and then do it again. I did the opposite side, 2 drops, but I kind of feel like I want to add a 3rd drop because it's not really filling in the gap so much. So I feel like, actually I feel like it didn't even get everywhere it needed to go. It's hard to tell because it's clear, but it's the best I can do. I don't make this space stuff. Okay, so that's obviously a big bubble. Probably hard already, but since pulling out that spacer is going to cause a lot of gripping, I want to be sure that it's really hard. Okay. So naturally, with the grip, it's hard to pull out. That's why I want to screw in this bolt to give me that extra. But actually you can see here how this thing is rounded, you know, and the you can see the plastic could be a lot thicker. On this side I did 2 drops as well, so I could possibly add a 3rd drop. I'm not sure, but I can at least pull this out. Yeah, there it goes. So you heard it kind of gripping as it pulled out there. So now I've blocked 1/2 of these ports. Yeah, I am going to add another drop. What I'm afraid of is there's a lot of vibration. That plastic will break off really easily if it's thin. So if it's thick, obviously, I think it'll be more durable. So it's a little concerning. I'm not sure if I just totally destroyed this by getting the plastic up on this ledge. You know, I feel there's a break there for a reason. There's a little ledge there for a reason. Oh boy. Well, I have to sand that off very gently, or maybe take an X-Acto, which I'm not going to do on camera. Alright, let's see if blocking these 2 vents works out. Original mag. 360, 347, 337. I think it's pretty good. So you'll notice if I give it more time for the gas to vaporize, the speed does go up. But consecutive high speed, you're going to lose a lot of the FPS because the gas doesn't have time to expand. I didn't catch on to that earlier because I'm a moron. Alright, I think I'm good. Yeah, I think it's expected. I mean, if the first shot's 360 and then the rest are under 350, I think I'll be okay. Okay, well anyways, you might want to try that trick. Whether or not that resin holds up, though, is a different story, but I'll update you if it falls apart. Alright guys, I took it out for a day of gameplay, and I have to say, yeah, I don't like pistols. I haven't watched too many airsoft videos about gas blowback pistols, but I'll tell you, don't buy them if you actually intend to play against other human beings playing airsoft. If you want to just plink around in your backyard, then I think these are fine. But it's just the nature of the propellant, you know, the green gas or propane that's used in these little magazines. They simply can't maintain enough gas for 25 shots, especially if you shoot quickly. You know, if you shoot quickly, it gets cold and it tends to dump more gas, it seems. So very often I would have like between 5 and 10 rounds left before all the gas had no more power to actually move the mechanics of this pistol. There was also one instance where I actually loaded the thing and I released the slide release and the magazine just fell out on its own. So that's a little bit scary. I don't know if it's because I had gloves on and I may have touched this accidentally, but I kind of feel like maybe this recess for the magazine should be deeper, you know, the tooth. Or maybe this is just sticking out too far. It's hard to say, but I'm wearing gloves. And the main problem with gloves, again, is this safety. It's very often I could not actually shoot someone because my glove was making my finger up there, and I couldn't I couldn't actually actuate it properly. So I'm gonna eventually switch over to I'm gonna remove this thing. I'll either remove the safety itself, or maybe I'll get like a TTI short adjustable trigger, which I do enjoy on my AAP. But that AAP also is gas powered, and so that has also, you know, had more rounds left in it before the gas ran out. So, well, the gas ran out and I still had some rounds in it. So I'm pretty much done with pistols for now. I think the only way pistols are going to be good is if you're running high pressure air. Using green gas or CO2, it's not going to work. That's my experience. I'm not going to use the 50 round mags because you drop it once, they become garbage. And that was a $50 mistake by buying the Wii 50 round mag, and I dropped it. So it's a real shame. So I'm just going to let these collect dust until I invest in a high pressure air setup. My friends all use HPA in their pistols, and they really don't have problems because HPA doesn't have that cooling down effect because it's not a compressed liquid. You know, it's just hot compressed air. So they can rattle off 1,000 rounds and they'll never lose velocity. My little modification of blocking the two ports did allow me to play. The field let me pretty much said it's around 340 FPS on average. So that's one mod that would help you if you actually do want to actually use this as like a backup. You know, if it's a backup and you know, anticipate only shooting 15 rounds, then this will be perfectly fine. But as a primary weapon for playing airsoft, I don't think pistols are the way. Not just this one, I think this and my AAP. It's just not the way to go, unless you go HPA again. Okay, so not the most positive outcome, but it's still a cool looking pistol. And I guess whenever I go HPA, then I'll have some actual, you know, footage that's more positive. So I appreciate you watching today. Hopefully I saved you some money if you're debating, you know, trying to get a pistol and you're thinking about using it as a primary. But again, no, don't do it. But leave a comment if you think otherwise. I'm sure other people would be interested in your side of the story. This is one man's opinion, and that's it. Alright, thanks for watching.